Hola, everybody. Welcome back to Young Engineers of Today. Hey, Mateo. Um, I hope you guys had a good weekend. Everybody do interesting things and relax and have a lot of fun and all that good stuff. Hope so. Yes, I certainly hope so, because at this point we're going to be continuing with HTML. HTML. So we spent a little bit of time talking about it on Wednesday. Sort of introduced you guys to it, did all that stuff, and we went over the very beginnings of the very basics of the very tippy top end of HTML. We're going to be exploring the very basics again a little bit more. Probably get through this lesson today, and then we'll do a little bit more HTML and potentially maybe do a little bit of CSS on Wednesday, and continue with HTML on Wednesday as well. Your sound is not on. Raise your hand if you can hear me. Okay, just wanted to make sure. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, so that's what we did on Wednesday, and that's what we are going to continue to do today and do a little bit on Wednesday as well. And then from there, we'll probably move to Inkscape and do some stuff with that so that you guys are all ready to go for like the labs and stuff like that, or at least it'll help supplement what you've already done in the lab if I'm the slowest person in the world and you guys already did that. Regardless, we'll get it figured out. We'll do some stuff. It'll be cool. And then we'll move on from that stuff and do other stuff, which will also coincidentally be cool. So yeah, at any rate, let's spend a little bit of time reviewing what we did last Wednesday. So last Wednesday we talked about what HTML is and how it works, and we prepared your editor and your web host. When I say web host, I mean your browser. And when I say editor, I mean your plain text editor. And then we did your first very basic web page, like super duper basic. But yeah, we talked about how HTML is short for Hypertext Markup Language. First appeared on the internet in 1991 and has since then become global standard for every single web page ever. I am... Nope, that's not going to do it. Sorry, just trying to help out with a sound issue. Okay, yes, that's definitely coming through then. Sometimes that can be a pain. Oh, you can't hear me. Okay, so yes, became the global standard in 2000. Um, every single website today uses HTML in some fashion or another. Every single one. And HTML5 is the new big thing, determined by the World Wide Web Commission, which of course is that group of people who determines what the entire internet uses, which is pretty impressive. I already had my whole little spiel about that. At any rate, we talked about how an HTML file turns a raw text document into a web page for your face. And that is, it starts out as the raw text file, gets stored on servers as the raw text file, along with any pictures and videos and other plugins and stuff like that that are going to need to be loaded when the page is loaded. Then the browser requests it, pulls all that information from the server, and translates it in real time into a web page for you to view and enjoy. So that is the very, very basic version of how a raw HTML document gets turned into a website for somebody else who wants to view it, or you, whatever. And to expand upon that point, browsers can do this in different ways. That's why some browsers will be faster than others. Some browsers will be more memory efficient. Some browsers will be more stable. Some browsers will be more secure. Some browsers will be, whatever. There are multiple different ways to do it. Some browsers won't be able to display web pages correctly, while some others will. Stuff like that. And that's all down to how a browser interprets HTML. We also talked about editors, sort of. Basically said that editors exist. However, a lot of times they're decently expensive. So for that reason, and because we're just going to be doing it old school manually anyway, we're going to use free text editors that come with the operating system. So Notepad if you're on Windows, or TextEdit if you're on Mac OS, which we discussed at length. I say at length for about 5 to 10 minutes last time around, and getting that all good to go. Just remember, if you use TextEdit for Macintosh, which I don't believe they refer to themselves as Macintosh anymore, but whatever, just make sure it's in plain text editing mode. That's actually a very important thing to make sure of. Blah, blah, blah. Google site stuff, because there's a little bit of overlap with the Google Sites presentation we went over last Monday. Now the actual structure of HTML is like so. It's separated into discrete keywords called tags. That's what it says there at the beginning. I made this presentation, certainly this slide at least, so I'm very familiar with what it says. At any rate, tags tend to come in pairs. So you're going to tend to have opening and closing tags for most formatting options and things like that in HTML. The example I have here are the HTML tags, which denote the beginning and end of an HTML document. Opening tags are always going to have the name of the tag inside of angled brackets, and closing tags are also going to have the name of the tag inside of angled brackets, except they're also going to have a / in front of their name. So HTML and /HTML denote beginning and end of HTML. We've got a whole bunch of tags. We spent some time going over some of them, but that is something that you want to keep in mind. Most tags are paired. I say most. Some tags are not. Some tags are just single tags, and they'll sometimes have / embedded in them, and sometimes they won't, because everything's got to be difficult, and you can't just have things one way. At any rate, for the most part, HTML is going to have paired tags. We also made your first super basic web page that was not that exciting, and I'm actually going to go ahead and open it up right now. Close. Index2.html. Now see, if I double click on it, it's going to open it up in Chrome. And welcome to my super amazing 100% web page. You'll find all of the best stuff here. And then all of my highs. I'm really an excellent communicator. So my web page is something that makes sense and looks nice. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, double clicking on it is going to bring it up in Chrome. However, if I right click on it, obviously you got the right click context menu. I'm going to go down to open with, and I'll open it with Notepad. And just like that, we've got our HTML file. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all the different header ones. These were the header tags, if you'll remember, which create the large text. Important to note, though, that they come in sizes 1 to 6. You can't do higher than 6. If you try and do higher than 6, it's just going to dump plain text out onto the screen when you try and open up the web page. 1 is the largest, 6 is the smallest, and 5 and 6 are even like smaller than normal plain text. So as you can see, like they're just a little bit smaller. Anyway, I'm going to delete these though, so the page is cleaned up a little bit. We've gone over the HTML tags, which denote the beginning and end of an HTML document. The doc type HTML tells the computer that this is HTML5. The head tags contain information about your entire document, including formatting and things like that. So, if you wanted to create some page-wide formatting, you can put that stuff into the head tag. The body tag, or the body tags, contain pretty much all of the meat of the page if you're using straight-up HTML. If you're not, if you're basically creating like a little vehicle to, like a web page that's just going to have like a Unity plugin on it or something like that, well, then most of your stuff is probably going to be contained within the head tags. Because that's going to contain a lot of the preloading stuff that the page needs in order to start loading up like the Unity plugin or whatever you have there. Maybe it's JavaScript or something. At any rate, by and large, when you're creating a website, if you're using HTML, your body tag is probably going to contain most of the information that goes on your web page. The title tags, anything contained within the title tags, for instance, this Young Engineers of Today here, is the stuff that gets placed into the tab or the window taskbar thing. Not taskbar, window bar. Anytime you visit the page. So mine says Young Engineers of Today. I could have changed it to Herald the web page. And we'll see it update to say Herald the web page up here with improper capitalization. But yeah, that's what the title tag does, is it changes the text that goes up here at the tab. Like I said, the body tag is going to contain most of the stuff that goes inside this actual viewing window of the browser, so that's going to contain a lot of information if you're going with pure HTML, like a lot of information. The header tags create the headers, and then the P tags, or paragraph tags, create paragraphs, which basically just place a blank line, an entire blank white line before and after the text inside of the paragraph tag. So that's basically what we went over on Wednesday. And it only took me until 8:20 to review all that stuff. We went over a decent amount of things. I apologize. I had to yawn. This gets a little bit, anyway. Next, we've got style tags. Style tags make your text more interesting, in essence. They add style to the text. That's why they're called style tags. At any rate, we got a few different ones, and they're all pretty much identical functionality to their equivalents in Word. So the bold tag will allow you to make text bold, just like how you can click on something and make it bold in an editor. So the way that's done is with the B tag. So we can go B, we can say bold text, hi, heyo. As you can see, we've got bold text heyo encased in the B tag. If we were to reload it, look at that, bold text right there, bam. Awesome. We've also got italics texts, which italicizes text. So, same deal. Magic italics. Or magic iguana, because it's apparently what my fingers wanted to type initially. Magic iguana. Why? No idea. No clue whatsoever. Hit F5, and look at that, magic iguana right next to bold text heyo. Parents are going to wonder about me. They're going to think there's something wrong with me, and there probably is something wrong with me. At any rate, you'll notice that these are right next to each other, even though we separated them with lines. We can solve that by wrapping them in paragraph tags. And now it's important to note, again, that tags are nested. I believe I talked about this. I know I talked about this on Wednesday. I believe I talked about this already today, but I'm going to go over it again just in case. The first tag opened is the last tag closed. So as you can see, we opened the paragraph tag and then the italics tag. Good touch with the memes. Oh, good Lord. Then we close the italics tag, and then we close the paragraph tag. So we got to make sure that they're nested. We got to make sure that they're nested. We got to make sure that we close tags that were opened later on. Always tie up loose ends before you start closing other things up. So we'll do the same thing up here. Bold text. We'll wrap it around another paragraph tag. We'll save all this, and bam! Look at that. Magic iguana. So now we've got bold and italics. We've also got underline, because we're going to continue along this exciting train of stylized text. So now we got underline, which will underline text. I am not going to type that. No idea. No clue. But yeah, so as you can see, text is underlined. I mean, I'm really sure that this is not coming as any surprise to you guys. You're like, okay, I know how to underline text. I know how to italicize text. I know what the end result is going to look like. It's always good to take a look at it, though. And, you know, just see what the end result is going to look like, even if it's the most not surprising thing in the world. So bold, italics, underline. And then we've got strike through. When you want to be a smart aleck and use strike through to say what you actually want and replace it with text that isn't struck through, that is more diplomatic. Strike through is an S. So far, pretty easy to keep track of. Bold is B, italics is I, underline is U, strike through is S. We hit save, we hit reload, and look at that. Strike through. Now, the nice thing is, you might be going like, well, what's the point of having each one of these? And I'll tell you right now, that's up to you to figure out. Not a helpful answer, I know. But this is more giving you the tools, the very, very simple tools that you can use to get started on an HTML web page, and then you can start expanding your knowledge and doing more stuff with that if you find it interesting. Now, one of these things that you might be happy to know is we can combine all of them. And again, note the order in which they're closed. I did it wrong. Make sure you don't do it wrong like I did it wrong. There we go. We got Pabias and Suib. So now if we were to reload this, maximum power. Cool. There you go. So that's just a little thing to illustrate the fact that we can combine style tags. Why? Because why not? Because America, that's why. So yeah, we can totally combine style tags to make things look more, can't see it, but I'm raising my eyebrow, stylish. Now, among other things, we've also got the line break. Line break is just, it's very easy. All it does is just, it's like a carriage return. It's like you hit enter on the keyboard. So if we were typing and we wanted something to look like, hey, here is my sentence. If we wanted something to look like that, well, the way we could do that is by sticking in a line break, which is just BR. Note how it's unpaired. Our tag is unpaired because we don't need to tell it when the line break begins and ends. The line break is exactly like hitting the enter on a keyboard, or hitting enter on a keyboard. So, you don't need to tell a computer where the return key begins and ends, like the character spat out by a return key begins and ends. It already knows that. It's just a single character. You don't need to tell it where a space begins and ends. At any rate, so for that reason, it is unpaired. So if we were to reload this web page, hey, look, it's formatted exactly like I was typing in Notepad. So hey, here's my sentence. Oh, hey, you got sound. I'm assuming that's why you're so excited. What did it end up being? Oh. Well, there you go. Well, I'm glad you got sound now. Welcome back to the party. As you can see, we've been going crazy. Absolutely nuts. Oh yeah, I get you. I get you. But yes, so that's what we've got for our style tags, pretty much. Next, we've got a little thing called lists. some little things called lists. Whatever. Whatever. We've got lists. Now lists come in two flavors with the very basics. You've got ordered lists and unordered lists. Ordered lists are simply lists that, how many more times can I say the word lists, that just have like numbers, so like 1, 2, 3, and unordered lists are simply lists that have bullet points. Simple. Very simple. And the syntax for them is very simple too. So let's say we wanted to use a, well, we'll do both lists here. So we'll start out with an ordered list, and then we'll do an unordered list. Yeah. Saying lists that many times got a little tiring. Anyway, so ordered lists are denoted with an OL. These are the OL tags. Unordered lists are denoted with a UL. These are the UL tags. Makes sense so far, right? Good. Okay, so here's the thing about lists. You need to tell a list what each element in that list is, or each item in that list. So if you were to have like a grocery list, grocery shopping list, you'd have like milk and eggs and bread, butter and red meat and dog collar and whatever else. So each one of those items is a list item. It's an item on the list. So eggs, one item on the list. Milk, one item on the list. Bread, one item on the list. So on and so forth. You get the idea. So we need to tell our browser what's going to be what, which one's going to be which. How are we separating our list items? Well, I'm glad you asked. We're going to be using the list item tag, which is just li. So as you can see, perhaps, we're going to have lists, list tags, that are going to be filled with list item tags, and then those list item tags are going to have actual items in them. Item 1, item 2, item 3, like so. So list item, item 1, end list item, item 2, end list item 3, end list item, end ordered list. So if we're to save this and reload our web page, Harold, look at that, a nicely formatted ordered list right here. Amazing. Absolutely incredible. Item 1, item 2, and item 3. Unordered lists formatted exactly the same way. In fact, so exactly, I'm just going to copy paste this entire thing and stick it in there just so I can so I can show you guys that unordered lists are oh, whoops. It helps if I actually put it inside of the unordered list tags, are just bullet points. Just like that. That's it. Ordered lists are numbered. Unordered lists are bullet points. So now what? Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to actually spend a little bit of time doing some review of everything we just went over. I know, it's a terrible thing. It's like the worst thing you could hear. But here's the deal. I'm not going to ask you guys to answer my questions necessarily. Like, I'm not going to expect you guys to put the answers in the question box or anything like that. I just want you guys to think about them. If you feel like it, go ahead and type out the answer on like a blank text file in order to create like a new HTML document so that you can check and see how everything looks. But most importantly, I want you guys to just sort of be thinking about the answer, because that helps to reinforce everything we've just gone over in your heads. Really, honestly, that's, yeah. Because certainly it helps, like the way I learn is it helps me to do stuff alongside of the lesson. So maybe this will help you. So with this much information, in such a short period of time. A quiz is in order. Yeah. The idea in this is you would be building a page to the following specifications. You don't necessarily have to build a page. I just want you to at least think about the answers. You're more than welcome to if you'd like, though. So first one, I want you to give your page a heading, the largest size, with a welcoming message of your choosing. A welcoming message of your choosing. So like what I got here, where I'm super excited and saying hello. So go ahead and you know, either think about that or type it out or something. Think about what the tags would be and how it would be formatted and where it would go. Okay, so once that's done, I want you guys to write a short paragraph. The only reason why I called it a paragraph and italicized it is because that points very specifically to a particular tag or set of tags, as it may be, that you might want to use. But it really only has to be like a sentence or two. It's really just to be a proof of concept. But write a short paragraph about yourself below the heading. Again, think about what tags those might be, where it might go. Now once that's done, this next one's going to take a minute because there's a decent amount going on. So what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to create a spot on your page with this text that looks exactly like what I've got here. Exactly. So just because that's a fair amount to keep track of, like I said, I'll spend some time killing time so that you guys have enough time to finish this question. Time. I know you guys aren't slow typists, but I'll give you a couple more minutes. Okay, so I figured that's enough time. It's probably plenty of time. You guys are probably like, come on, next question. All right, so next question. Present an unordered list of 3 places you'd like to visit. And we'll just go ahead and tie these two together. An unordered list of the 3 places you'd like to visit, and an ordered list of your 3 favorite sports or video games or hobbies or whatever. So 2 lists, one unordered, and that's of 3 places you'd like to visit, and one ordered of your 3 favorite somethings related to your pet, like your favorite pastime. Excuse me. Or passions or whatever. Okay. So now that we've done that, let's take some time to just double check, if you created an HTML file, go ahead and save it and open it up, see if it looks okay. If you didn't, well, answers will be forthcoming in a moment. So this is kind of what I'm hoping your final result is going to look like, something similar to this, where you've got the big header, and then you got a paragraph, and then you've got the text, just like how I wanted you to type it and how I wanted you to have it look, and then you unordered list and ordered list. If it doesn't really look like this, that's okay. Just maybe spend some time figuring out what exactly happened, why it may not look like this. And in the meantime, we can go over the HTML that was used to create that page. All of the wonderful, glorious HTML. So anyway, first question was the question about the header. That was super easy. Just H1 tag. That is literally it. Nothing else. Next one was the P tag. Easy. Paragraph tag. No surprise there. Next one took a minute, probably just because there was a lot of angled brackets, a lot of typing and stuff like that. I probably gave you guys way too much time because you guys are pretty fast at typing too. But at any rate, this is usually the one that takes the most time, just because there's a lot of tags. Now, looking at it, it's not actually all that complicated. It's just there's a fair amount to keep track of. Now, notice how brown is underlined, jumps is bold, or yeah, over is italicized, lazy is struck through. We've got 2 line breaks there. Now, remember how line breaks are unpaired? So these are actually 2 separate line breaks, which again makes perfect sense considering the way that the text actually looks. We've got 2 line breaks. Boom. But yeah, that's one way you could go about doing it. I had somebody in my previous class say, oh, mine's all on one line. Is that okay? Yeah, that's totally fine. That's just where, that's just how I like to format mine. You can format yours however you'd like. You can have it all on one line if you'd like. I don't recommend it, but you could. HTML is still going to know exactly what you're talking about. It's just I put stuff on multiple lines to make it easier for me to read as a person who actually, wrote this monstrosity. Next, we've got the unordered list. Pretty straightforward. Unordered list tags, as well as list item tags. No surprise there. And then similarly, we've got the ordered list tags for the ordered list and the list items. So otherwise, functionally identical, or at least aesthetically identical. At any rate, that's our HTML page, and this is what the final product would end up looking like. So you got the doc type HTML, opening HTML tag, the head tags are empty, and then everything's in the body. So we got the body, the header tags, the paragraph tags, then our text, unordered list, ordered list, closing body, closing HTML. Boom. Just like that. No big deal. Easy. Easy, easy. But yeah, so that's what our wow, words. What our HTML document would look like. Now, again, to reiterate this point, HTML doesn't care about white space, not really. So that mess over on the right is actually the exact same code as what's over on the left. I just got rid of all the times I pressed the enter key. And that's literally the only difference. So uploading that page will provide you with an identical, or uploading the HTML file and opening it will provide you with an identical looking page to the one on the left. However, it's a lot harder to read than the one on the left is. So for that reason, again, I recommend that you format yours more like the one on the left. Again, that might be a little bit too much white space, what I have on the left over there. Maybe not enough information is contained all on the screen at once. Like if this were smaller text, or if it didn't have these, basically if it didn't have all that white space there, we can now see the entire HTML document on the screen, and we don't have to scroll up or down. Of course, flip side to that being, it's a little bit harder to read. But I'm sure it's something you could get used to. Anyway, so that does it actually for lesson 1. We went over some basic information about HTML. We went over how to set up your web host. We went over how to get started. We went over how to get started creating HTML documents. When it says web host, it's the Google Sites thing, which we went over last Monday. And we went over some very, 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 very basic formatting. Beyond that, we've got basically HTML lesson 2, which spends a little bit of time talking about how to embed pictures, how to create links, how to make pictures links, commenting. I believe there's a little bit about tables. There's just some other stuff that sort of will add more complexity to your web page. And that's what we kind of want to do. We want to build on it bit by bit so that everything is, iterative or incremental, whatever your preferred nomenclature is. But since that's an entirely other different lesson, I'm actually going to hold off on starting that for today, just because it would start introducing new concepts like 10 minutes before it's time to end, and that just seems a little bit counterproductive to what we're trying to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to throw out the poll questions, and we'll leave it open for question and answer time until about 3 after, just so we can make sure that everything's addressed. We can go over everything, and then we'll break for the next couple of days. If you don't have any questions, you're obviously not required to stay here for that time. I just want to make sure that if you guys do, I'm here for that. So let me go ahead and throw out the poll questions then, and by throw out I mean ask the poll questions, and then we'll leave it open for question and answer time.